Welcome to Turning Hard Times to Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor. Really pleased to have with me for the first time Elaine Ellingham. She is the president, CEO, and executive director, or direct executive chairman, I should say, of Omai Gold Mines. Omai Gold Mines is a name I remember from years ago. It was a past producer, and Elaine is moving forward with this project to move it towards production again someday in the not too distant future, we hope. She is a geologist. She's had 40 years of experience in the mining industry, a national leader for mining at the TSX for 8 years. She was the lead director at Richmont Mines for 7 years. She was the interim president there at Richmont before they were taken over, or I should say, before they were merged with Alamos, which is certainly one of the more successful mining companies in North America these days. She is a current director still at Alamos. And well, she's had considerable experience in the capital markets, which is always, of course, very, very important. Before I say hello to Elaine, I should tell you that I'm not being paid for this interview. I do not currently own the shares, but I do plan to introduce it to my paid subscribers this weekend. And the paid subscribers will be privy to this interview before the general public, which it will be available a few days after that. Omai, as I said, is a past gold producer located in Guyana, South America. Produced 3.8 million ounces in the past, in 1993 to 2005, averaging around 300,000 ounces a year. So pretty darn good producer. It's a significant operation down there. Trades OMG in Canada, OMGGF in the US, 616 million shares, around 67 cents gives it a market cap in US money of about $412 million. Company has just recently updated its resources, and it has 6.5 million ounces that it's counting in a couple of different categories. So it's quite a story, and I'm really happy to welcome Elaine. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jay. Good to be here.
I guess I'd like to start out with maybe just talk a little bit about the history of the mine and, why it closed. It was a big producer, and when it closed exactly. Well, I guess it was actually, I just said 2005 or thereabouts, I guess. Yep. But can you give us a little history on the mine in the past? And then, of course, we want to get into what you're planning to do going forward.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so when it came into production, the gold price was actually sitting around $400. And after they got into production, the gold price started to sag. And I think you were in the business then too. It almost touched $300. Yep. So it was a tough time to operate a mine. But as you mentioned, it was a very large producer. It was actually the largest primary gold producer in South America at the time. And so I think they still actually made money, which speaks to it. But actually, some of the history, because they mined in such a low gold price environment, they were very selective. And that's actually that works for us, because that's why they left so much mineralization behind. So the kind of the final shutting down of the mine was actually related to the big Rosabelle mine that's 200 miles east in Suriname. I'm sure you know a bit about that. And so the company that was running the mine had acquired Rosabelle, but they had to build the mine. And so there was a 20,000 ton per day mill at Omai. And they had just decided that credit was a bit tight then. They had some issues. And so they decided that early on they were going to relocate the mill. So this is the other reason why it was a great project when I saw it, is it meant that they actually didn't do exploration outside to try and expand the mine. They had already made the decision, the mill's going. So yeah, it was kind of, and the old saying really holds true. This is a great example. The best place to look for a new mine is beside an old mine.
Yeah, and so you've been exploring and developing, and you just recently come up with a new resource. Talk to us a little bit about that resource.
Yeah, so we actually have done, that's our fourth 43-101 resource. So we've done one almost every year. And so we actually went to a PEA, a preliminary economic assessment last year. It was only on about 45% of our resource, but we just thought, we put it on the open pit, and we thought it was a good idea to show the market that even at that level, this thing had legs and a path to production. So then we started drilling again, and we started on, late that year, late last year, we started hitting these zones that were, 4.5 grams over 57 meters, and, the 3.2 grams over 68 meters. These are spectacular.
Sure.
And we are talking, this is the Wenot deposit. This is an open pittable. And as you know, a lot of open pit mines are under a gram. And we are kind of looking at averages of 1.5, 1.7, but when you start hitting those kinds of grades,
Yeah.
don't stop drilling. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
We had originally started the year thinking we were gonna, drill to, work on the PEA and upgrade the old PEA, and then we went, nope, you know what, change pivot, and let's find out how big this thing is.
Right.
And so, I mean, we added in just over a year of drilling, we added over 2 million ounces.
Mm. Wow. Very
So I
successful.
think we did the right thing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So the Wenot mine is an open pit mine, and then you got the Gilt Creek, which is right next to it. That's an underground mine. It was mined underground in the past, right?
No, it was actually only open pit mined, but 2.4 million ounces came over the upper part of that.
Okay. I see. I see. But the Gilt Creek, that's yours as well, no?
Yes, and
That's
and
it.
it's actually very different geologically. And I
Yeah,
know we
exactly.
don't
Yeah.
have to dig down too far, but basically it's an intrusive. So
Right.
for that one, you can just think of a cylindrical body.
Right. So probably sampling and is easier there with that kind of a project, generally speaking. You're not looking
Yeah,
at veins, you're looking at more of like a bowl of soup or something like that.
yeah. So there's a lot of mineralization in that thing.
Yeah.
And so you drill and drill and drill, and you're still in it.
Well, that's good. I mean, you must love that as a geologist. Which do you expect will be advanced first, or will they both be sort of on parallel tracks?
Well, I think the open pit is the logical place to
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
So,
That's
I
right.
think even to the west of the old pit, we've identified in the Wenot deposit, a big chunk of it is actually far, like it's west and removed from the previous operation. So that's probably where you would start. The other thing is there's a lot of open pit mining skills in Guyana.
Mm.
Lots of operators, and there's a big bauxite open pit mine that's been in operation since 1916. So no shortage of open pit skills,
Yeah.
mining skills, but
That's good.
underground is kind of fairly new to them.
Okay. All right. So that's where you're going to be focusing then on the open pit. All right. So now we're looking at $3,500 gold. The mine shut down at 400. I know you've done a PEA in 2024 last year, right?
Right.
Was published?
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that? And then maybe we can get some sense of how much bigger. You said it's only about 45% of the existing resource that was built into that PEA.
It was 45% of the previous resource, so it's only about 20, I think just under 20% of the
Oh,
new resource.
okay. All right.
Yeah. So I always say, even when we finished it, it was pretty much in the rearview mirror. And why we did it was a couple reasons. One, I don't think the market was giving this company, the recognition that, hey, this thing really does have legs.
Mhm.
And as you know, we were kind of in a bad market for juniors. So it really did wake up the market to this.
Mhm.
And then the other thing is it allowed us to get on the permitting path. And that was really important. In Guyana, if you can have a mine plan, an independent mine plan from our PEA, you can get actually on the road towards an EIA, an environmental impact assessment.
Mhm.
So it did, and actually within 6 months of us filing that PEA with the government of Guyana, we received an environmental permit with a 2-year interim environmental permit, and it went out for public comment as well, which was great.
Mhm.
And so now we're on the path to an EIA, which, in a lot of jurisdictions that, it sounds like it's a bit premature, but they really do help you along down there because they want to see these come into production.
Well, it's a very mining friendly country, as I understand it. It would like to see you in production. The government would like to see jobs and wealth creation. You are a wealth creator as a miner, that's for sure.
Yep.
The basic wealth creation from most basic industry. All right, so you're expanding the resource. What is the path now towards an economic study? How far, what do you need to do before the next step? Now you've increased the resource substantially already, 6.5 million ounces. Sounds like a pretty good place to start in terms of
Right.
economics and economies of scale and so forth. So what is the path towards, let's say, the next economic study?
Right. And that's exactly right. I mean, obviously we set our milestone of getting this resource out, which is only, I think, a week and a half old. So yes, it is, in this business, especially when you have a receptive government and good gold price, you want to move forward as quickly as possible. So,
Right.
so what we've basically done is we do want to do that next PEA. It's going to look very different because already we were talking about the Wenot open pit as almost like a super pit because
Mm-hmm.
we're already talking a deposit that's 2.5 kilometers long.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
and that was in our old PEA, but still, that's about what we're looking at. But this is a big pit, and so what we're going to do some more drilling on that. And people say, is that infill drilling? Really, we haven't defined the limits either on the east or west end or at depth. Um, but we do want to move to that next PEA. So it's going to include a larger Wenot and it's going to bring in that Gill Creek underground as well. So Jay, from the time I started this, I looked at this and went, this looks like it's going to be a big mine. So always set the goals being, 5 million ounces, 250, 300,000 ounces a year, and good for 20 years. Because, that's what people want to see in a mine, a
Sure.
large operation, especially if they're going into a new jurisdiction, right?
Sure.
So, so I think we're on the path to that with this next PEA. We've got the resource to hold that together. So the drilling that we're going to do is actually to help bring the strip ratio down because
Mm-hmm.
once we hit that big, the richer zone, we kind of said, okay, we should be drilling that because we're going to add ounces, we're going to expand this. So we didn't drill from the south side. So a lot of that is actually undrilled, but there are zones in the sediment, sometimes very nice zones.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, if we go to the PEA without drilling those, they're going to be considered waste,
Yeah.
right? And that means high strip. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to drill those
Mm-hmm.
and show that some of those zones in the sediments continue. We're pretty sure they do.
Right.
And so that's going to bring that strip ratio down. So we've actually got 4 drills on the property. We took them off the Wenot while we were doing the resource because QPs sometimes say, "Oh, well, let's bring in the next results and the next results," and you end up in this circle and you don't get where you want to get to.
Yeah.
So we're going to start. We're going to put the drills, at least 2 drills back on Wenot for that,
Mhm.
and we got to prove the extensions on these. Again, it affects the strip because
Sure.
right now we've got mineralization that just stops because we haven't closed it off.
Right. So it's 2.5 kilometers,
Yeah,
the more east and west, or what's the orientation?
yeah, it's east and west.
East and west. And so that's where that resource has come from now, but you can
Yeah,
extend it even further in both directions, potentially.
yeah, absolutely. It's a major regional shear. This is a shear hosted
Yeah.
deposit, so it just
Right.
keeps on going. I think the one thing is we have put a few drill holes out there. It doesn't look like in the main part you see 10 or 12 zones that go across almost 350 meters. So when we get to the ends, we did a few holes, and it looks like there's 2 or 3 zones, but it's not as robust as the center part. Now we haven't drilled very deep out on those ends or anything,
Right.
but we need to do that.
Right. Right. I don't know if you want to show a couple of slides that might illustrate the potential of this pit. Do you have something that you'd like to share, or
Sure, definitely. I can flip through a few really quickly. I think we've talked about some of the stuff, so maybe a few of the slides
will help to reinforce it, maybe?
yeah, I might show some of that stuff as
Mhm.
well. That's a good idea. Um,
Okay, I'm seeing it. Yep,
okay, I just need to go to the,
beautiful.
I think, is that a little better?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you're just looking at the 2 deposits. It's kind of a funny angle, but you can see that Wenot deposit is 2.5 kilometers long. And just what I was saying, you can see we didn't drill very deep out here,
Uh-huh.
and so again, we need to kind of close off this in both directions. It probably will contribute to making it larger. And then just 450 meters away, here's your intrusive hosted deposit. Um, I guess, we'll get there, but you can see what we've done also just for fun is we have one drill hole that we're doing right now that we test right through the intrusion, and we just kept that going.
Wow.
And the idea is to see if these are vertical zones, shear hosted, often they go to great depth. And so we've got a hole that's gonna that we're gonna test to see 600 meters under there to see if it's still there.
Wow. How soon might we get results from that, Elaine?
Well, we're at 1,700 meters downhole right now.
Yeah.
The hole, of course, flattens a lot, and so it takes a lot to pull the rods and the core barrel and everything. So we're moving really slowly, but we're at about 1,750, I think, yesterday. It's like Christmas every morning, right? So we have hit sheared rock, so we think we're within the Wenot shear, but we haven't hit any of the key zones yet. So no guarantees. Geology, Mother Nature, they have a mind of their own, right?
True.
Absolutely,
but that's something to be on the lookout for.
Yeah.
That's really so. Imagine if that deep hole hits some juicy stuff underneath the pit, huh?
Yeah, so it's not going to go into the resources. It's too deep. It's too far removed from it. But what it tells people is, again, we've been targeting that 20-year minimum mine life forever. But what it tells people or people looking at projects like this is it's probably a 30 plus year mine life. And that's fantastic for countries like Guyana because, you don't want short life mines. You get a whole communities with the skill set and they have great jobs and then the mine shuts down. So the long life mines are a great benefit to countries.
And as you say, also to producers that have, when they first enter a new project, a new country. So it is I gather a very mine friendly country. I know, of course, resources, Exxon is a company that I follow. It's just incredible the wealth that's coming out of there, at least out of the offshore projects. Is that having any impact on the country yet in terms of its wealth?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been going there for 4 years, and even in my time there, because offshore oil was only discovered in 2015, fairly recently. But they're building 8 hospitals, a major bridge over a river that had a floating bridge for over a kilometer, largest floating bridge. I think it was built for 10 years or something, and it's on 25 or something like that. I don't know the numbers, but yeah, I mean, roads, housing, hotels, you name it. It's incredible. And basically the most interesting number is that by 2027, the GDP per capita for Guyanese is going to be the highest in the world, eclipsing even the UAE.
Wow.
Wow.
That's yeah, that major infrastructure that in a country like that is really something I would hope sooner or later that it might reduce energy costs too for mining projects and so forth. If I don't know, it's wealth offshore obviously now, but it's coming onshore. It's really helping to build up the infrastructure. So is it easy to get into the project? It's you have good roads and so forth that can get.
Yep, actually, that's another thing people say about this project is it's kind of a little bit of the dream project in many ways. Of course, Guyana is in South America, the north coast of South America. A lot of people think it's Ghana in West Africa, but yeah, so it's the former British Guyana, so they speak English, but it's more like going to Jamaica in the sense that it's very Caribbean. They're part of CARICOM and so and the British influence is still there. As I always say, they drink tea for breakfast and they drive on the left side of the road. So
they do. They drive on the wrong side down there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they think it's the right side, but yes.
Yeah. Well, they don't know any better. So
yeah.
So who owns the stock? I mean, is it do you have any institutional coverage?
Yeah, absolutely. The last few financings, like our largest shareholders are the Mackenzie Group, if you know them, a Toronto big exploration thing, and they're just over 9%, and they are the largest shareholder. But below that, There's a number of funds that own about 5 to 6 I would say 4 to 6%, and that's the Franklin Templeton funds, Van
Hmm.
Eck's in there,
Hmm.
Schroders out of the UK, Rothschilds out of Paris, I think Phoenix Sun out of Malaysia. Yeah, so we've got all sort of the big names in there too, which is spectacular.
Um, so what I guess really your goal here, Elaine, is to build this up to a world-class deposit, which I think you're going to do. You're in the process. That would be attractive to one of the big major mining companies, I suppose, or hopefully several of them that might like to fight over you. Is
Right.
that the goal here?
Yeah, but I think the good thing is in this business is the path is the same, whether or not, you transform this company and bring in mine builders, it's the same path. So I think everything we do on this project is to accelerate it and de-risk it for whoever develops this property.
Hmm.
And, there are some great things that actually, since we're looking at this, so we actually have road access,
Hmm. Yeah.
this is the road that goes down to Brazil. And
Oh. Uh-huh.
yeah, and so it's been paved down to Linden for a long, long time, for decades, because Linden is actually, this gives you an idea of how small Guyana is, but Linden has a population of 45,000, but
Hmm.
it's the second largest community in Guyana.
Hmm.
Um, and there was an open pit bauxite mine there since 1916
Hmm.
that was discovered by a Canadian. So I think we're in good stead there. But with the newfound money, one of the infrastructure projects is they want to pave this road all the way down to Brazil.
Uh-huh.
And we're really the beneficiary. It's already paved halfway down. So we've got another 30, 35 kilometers and then just 10 kilometers into Omai. So as you know, there aren't too many, development stage projects, especially of this size with paved road access.
Hmm.
So yeah.
As far as power goes, do you have power lines or do you have to use diesel?
No,
No.
unfortunately, and it was diesel gensets in the old
Oh,
days.
right.
And initially, it'll probably be diesel gensets again. But like Amelia Falls is a hydro project that's already approved and planned, and the financing
Uh-huh.
falls through. But that would be within 30 kilometers,
Oh.
and it's been retendered by the government. So hopefully they move forward. And then also there's a gas energy plant going in, and so I think there's a possibility of looking into like compressed natural gas.
Hmm. Hmm. That would be good. All right.
Yeah,
I don't, I mean,
yeah.
it's a pretty straightforward story, I think. Anything else you think people need to know that we haven't
Um,
discussed?
No, I guess there are some great things, with old sites. We actually it's a cleared site, so most of Guyana is rainforest, and
Hmm.
uh, the forest never regrew on Omai, so it's just grasses and shrubs and easy to work there. And as a result, also it's been cleared now for 30 years.
Hmm.
We don't have malaria on site either, so
That's good.
it's kind of a dream. And then you can see the bottom right, like the old tailings are there. So you asked about the PEA. So we're doing kind of a modular approach. We're trying to advance various aspects towards the PEA. So we've just had tailings experts in, and they finally, like, we have the original design plans, but they confirmed you can actually raise those dams twice. And then the first thing is we want to use the intrusive pit for
Hmm.
tailings. So again, there aren't many projects that have existing tailings facilities. That's a big win, right?
Hmm.
And an airstrip, and yeah. So
And
I guess one of the things we could just take a look. You'd asked, can it
yeah,
get bigger?
yeah, this is
Um,
exciting. These grades that you're seeing at depth here. Yeah.
yeah, and that does, so when we go to that PEA, obviously, lots of places around the world you can run an open pit economically that's, even, well, I think some are below 0.6 grams per ton.
Hmm.
We expect the average of this is going to be, well, you can see the bottom left and the grades at each level,
Hmm.
but overall average is going to be over 1.5 grams. But when you get sort of these high grade intervals at depth, it opens up the possibility that it might be more economic to go and do some of that underground.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because with those
Yep.
kind of grades, uh,
Yep.
yeah, but that's obviously you've got enough to go for quite a while with just the open pit. And then if you can expand out and yeah, you can
So,
it'd be an open pit to start with, and it looks pretty,
right.
yeah. Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
right next door, so you could actually maybe have access. I mean, could you get into the Gilt Creek from the Winnow, or how, back and forth? Because you're right next to each other right there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's the other thing we've just done in preparation for that PEA, because we're going to include this Gill Creek deposit.
Hmm.
Um, and basically you're only 275 meters down. So basically it's a ramp down in here and then very large stope mining. And so you're absolutely right. Once you get down there, remember that's only 450, 500 meters from center
Uh-huh.
to center. If it is down here,
Hmm.
you could you could run a sort of a straight shoot across and
Yeah.
actually start mining here earlier. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So again, this all opens up the optionality of, you know, of how you asked, somebody was asking, could it go above 250 or 300,000 ounces a year? I think there's a lot of, you know, you can kind of like all different large companies, some have preferences for underground and expertise and open pit.
yeah.
There's a lot of optionality as to how you develop this, but at the end of the day, it looks like it's a long life mine, right?
Yeah, yes, indeed. Any more slides to show, Elaine?
Um, yeah, this is just the underground, but I guess again, the takeaway on this one is, this is 500 meters across this
Hmm.
intrusive.
Hmm.
But if you look at the top view, it's also 275 meters deep. So
Hmm.
um, very compact. So as you know, a lot of the costs when you're underground mining is if you have to develop out laterally to other pods and satellite zones.
Sure.
And this is just all tight together. So
Yeah,
you
that's
would
good.
expect it to be, fairly economic mining.
The continuity, and I mean, it looks like you have pretty good mining widths too, right? So once you're down
Yeah,
there, not a lot of dilution, and as you say, the continuity without having to go after separate pods and so forth. So
right. So
yeah,
that's and
I,
and yeah.
I'm really, really anxious to see the economics in this thing because I think it's going to be really, really good. From what I can see.
Right. Well, we have to be conservative, so I'm not sure where we're going to land, but we'll probably be
Mhm.
using a $2,400 gold price assumption or somewhere around there.
Yeah,
So it's because we always have to be conservative on these economic
right.
projections, but
There's some
um
rules about trailing gold price or something that you're allowed to use, or you just try to be more conservative. Uh,
there used to be, but I think they kind of forwent those at one point in time. But we there you can get the consensus numbers that all the major companies are using, and we usually use the big boys in the business as the guidepost.
yeah. Well, you start out with a baseline of 2,400, and then people can do their own calculations, I suppose, with some variation given cutoff grades and so forth at higher prices. But anyway,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, I
Well,
don't think so. Yeah, so that's as I said, you can just kind of see we did the PEA, but the new PEA is,
mhm,
making the super pit bigger, bringing the underground in and hopefully reaching that target we thought all along. So
mhm.
yeah, so that's us. And there are exploration targets and as you know,
Yeah,
I started as an exploration person and some of them are very compelling, but with the Wenot deposit, we had to be sensible and we had a very good sense that we could add ounces and build a really large deposit. So
and you're
we do
doing
actually, yeah. So we're on some of the exploration targets now, but we will go back to Wenot.
excellent. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if that's it for the
Sure.
slides, is that all? Maybe.
Uh,
Are you,
yeah, that's just the summary
so there's
slide.
the share price and cash. Is that what you have pretty much now? 19 million in the bank?
Yep, yep, that's
And that
US.
that allows you to continue your work towards your PEA. So you do a
Yeah.
PEA, that will be the first one, and then do you think you might take it a little further than that to a pre-fees or something like that even?
So one of the issues for us is, of course, but the more we drill and expand that resource like we did in the last year, that means more and more infill drilling. And of course, you have to
Yeah,
do your infill drilling for a feasibility study.
right.
So by virtue of all our work last year, we just made more work for ourselves. So to
Yeah.
get to that pre-feas, but it was well worth it. So yeah, some of the aspects we on the PEA we're hoping are more, as I said, we're going to move forward further on the tailings, further on the permitting, and all those types of things. But the infill drilling is going to hold us back another year.
Hmm. So I see here you've got the institutional high net worth people own about half the company, and then Silver Corp 6%. And yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
very good. All right, Elaine,
Okay.
anything else you might want to just highlight? What I guess people that long drill hole is what I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. But any sort of any catalyst that people should keep an eye on, investors
Well,
be aware
I
of?
guess some of our exploration targets are like near at surface.
Yeah.
And so those ones, they're not, there is potential for other intrusive hosted deposits on the property. So we'll do some of those. We'll keep at least one drill testing some of the exploration targets. And I mean, there is a lot of gold mineralization. When I say exploration targets, these are ones that already have known gold mineralization,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
like we're looking for deposits, not just a couple of intercepts.
Right,
So
for
I think
sure.
that's exciting, working towards the PEA, working towards the permitting. And we're going to keep those extensions to we're not going.
All
So I
right.
think that's
All right, very good. Well, I thank you.
all right.
This is quite a good story. It's certainly one I'm going to start keeping my subscribers up to date on. So I want to thank you very much for spending your valuable time with us to
No,
help
thank
us
you.
understand the story. So thank you very
Great.
much.
Okay.
All right, folks. Well, that's it for this week. Keep your eye on your inbox for Substack alerts and to find out who our next guest will be. Until then, goodbye and God's blessings to you.